In every fairy tale, the hero or heroine faces a formidable challenge: an evil stepmother, a dragon, or perhaps claustrophobic thorns surrounding a castle. For me, my trials weren't mythical beasts. They manifested in the form of my mother-in-law, a woman who wore her power like a crown, believing herself queen over my life and choices. My name is Emma, and at 28 years old I often found myself standing at the crossroad of love and resentment, torn between duty and my dreams. My husband, Daniel, a kind-hearted yet timid mummy's boy, thrived in the comfort of his mother's influence, leaving me feeling like a wanderer in a labyrinth. My parents were a distant memory, leaving me to navigate these turbulent waters with only my younger sister Lily at my side, who never hesitated to remind me, "You deserve better." Ambition coursed through my veins. I had dreams of climbing the corporate ladder and becoming a force to be reckoned with, but instead, I felt smothered beneath layers of expectations and control. Just when I thought I had lost my way, an unexpected rekindling of an old flame gave me a taste of what I wanted, a reminder that I could still reclaim my identity. But this path is fraught with complications. Revenge, as I would learn, might be the sweetest form of justice. "I can't believe you haven't set the dinner table yet, Emma." My mother-in-law, Sandra, stormed into the kitchen with a slew of complaints, her perfectly manicured nails clicking against the counter. "What do you do all day? It's not rocket science to put a few plates and forks out." I glanced at the clock. It was barely 4 p.m. "I was just about to do that," I replied, clenching my jaw. "I thought I'd wait for Daniel to help me. We could do it together." "Your husband doesn't need to lift a finger for simple tasks," she snapped, her voice steady with disdain. "You should take responsibility. After all, you are the wife." For a fleeting moment, anger bubbled within me, vibrating against the adhesive walls of decorum I put up for her sake. But years of training had instilled the art of patience within me, and I continued to smile. "Of course, Sandra. I'll set the table now," I said, biting back a retort that threatened to escape my lips. Daniel walked in, greeting his mother with a kiss. "Hey, Mom, what's for dinner?" "Oh, you know, Emma's working on that. She just needs to pull herself together," Sandra chirped, casting me a sideways glance that felt like daggers. "Right, I started, only for my words to dissolve as I saw the glimmer of pride in his eyes for his mother's approval. "Emma, can you pull out my favorite tablecloth?" he asked, oblivious to the undercurrents swirling around. "Sure," I said, exhaling softly. As I turned to grab the cloth, my thoughts swirled with contradictions. Daniel was sweet, but so lackluster in conflict resolution. I remained steady, grasping onto the fraying edges of my sanity, while Daniel went on about a work presentation. We'd been married for 2 years. 2 years filled with passive-aggressive family dynamics and uninspiring conversations boiled at the end of a meaningless dinner. Sandra's eyes rarely flicked from Daniel, and in many ways, I became secondary in my own domain. That evening, I escaped to my sister Lily's place, needing a breath away from constraining expectations. "Emma!" she exclaimed, pulling me into a warm embrace. "I missed you. You look like you're about to burst." "I feel like I might explode," I admitted, settling onto her couch, the weight of my troubles cascading like water over rocks. "Sandra again?" Lily asked knowingly, her soft green eyes filled with concern. "Always. It doesn't matter how much I do. It's never enough. She's relentless," I replied, frustration coloring my tone. "Sister, you need to fight back. Leave him. You'll be happier," she suggested, her tone firm and unwavering. "I can't just leave Daniel. I love him. It's not his fault," I countered, feeling the familiar swell of defensiveness rising. "He's caught between me and his mother. It's complicated." "Then you fight for yourself. You deserve more than his mother's perceptions," she urged, placing her hand on mine. "You can't drown under the weight of someone else's expectations. It's suffocating." The conversation shifted in my mind like tangled threads, tearing at my resolve. I thought of my ambitions, the career I had once dreamed of, the spark that had dwindled since tying the knot. But then there was Alex, an old friend who suddenly resurfaced. A message pinged on my phone, and I hesitated when I saw his name. "Hey Emma, how have you been?" Once upon a time, Alex had been my confidant. The very sight of his name brought back memories of laughter and dreams shared beneath the stars. He had always been there, quietly observant, but distanced by the shoreline of my marriage. What's on your mind? Lily asked, nudging me just enough to distract me from the conversation. Just an old friend, I murmured, unable to cultivate the nerve to be open about Alex. Just an old friend, huh? She teased, but her smile turned serious. Promise me you won't give up on your dreams. You're too talented to waste your life playing second fiddle. Not everyone will understand that, I mumbled, staring into the abyss of my doubts. The next day, Sandra visited unexpectedly, stepping into my world like a tornado. Emma, why is the house never clean? She questioned, her voice sharp as she surveyed the living room. You can hardly keep up with household chores. What will Daniel say? I was at work all day. I thought the maid would come, I replied, struggling to control my irritation. Maid or not, you should manage a household. Be a proper wife, she said, crossing her arms defiantly, her eyes narrowing. Maybe if Daniel helped, I could maintain everything around here, I shot back, the challenge abruptly arising. Your husband shouldn't have to lift a finger. It's your role to support him, she hissed, her voice dripping with condescension. At that moment, I felt the fury inside me crackle to life. But I'm not just a housekeeper. I am an ambitious woman with dreams. She rolled her eyes, the dismissal hitting me like a plunging weight. And is reality ever good enough for you, or do you always need to chase something unattainable? Our argument escalated, cracking the fragile facade. The house felt like a pressure cooker about to burst. I caught glimpses of Daniel standing in the hallway, eyes wide but lacking the courage to intervene. I could feel them submerged in the control Sandra had over him, her words echoing in the empty halls of my heart. Daniel, I called out, my voice breaking. Are you really okay with this? You just stand there and watch as she belittles me? He hesitated, glancing briefly at his mother, who put on her sweetest smile, as if to charm him into silence. Mom's just what, Daniel? Just correct? I interrupted, a fount of frustration spilling forth. I don't want to pick sides, he replied quietly, the words hitting me like a cold steel chain. In the weeks that followed, the divide between his mother and me widened. Every encounter felt like a landmine, but I stood my ground. I was the storm reforming the horizon, while Sandra acted like an outdated warrior, ignorant of the changing tides. Lily's words lingered like a beacon in the distance, illuminating. I worked late hours, pouring into my projects, determined to ascend that corporate ladder while living under Sandra's watchful eye. I found myself hiding snippets of my success, claiming to be busy with mundane tasks while secretly climbing higher. Connecting with old friends and networking rebirthed my ambition. Then came a message from Alex again. Let's grab coffee. I've missed talking to you. Finally, I found myself sitting across from Alex at a quaint little cafe, my heart racing. I can't believe we're finally doing this, I said, a smile breaking the rigid lines etched on my face. It feels like ages, he replied, his eyes twinkling with friendliness. Tell me everything, Emma. What's going on in your life? I hesitated, contemplating the facade of my perfect life before unleashing the torrent of frustrations. It's been challenging, I began, trying to fight the truth that shook me. Daniel is great, but it feels like I'm living for his world, with his mother constantly submerged, controlling everything. That sounds suffocating, Alex admitted, his brow furrowing. You deserve to pursue your ambitions and be happy. I want to be that person again, I confessed, a weight lifting slightly. But every day is like a constant battle between dreams and obligation. Over several encounters, Alex and I delved into deep conversations that reignited the embers of my spirit. I felt both seen and validated. Each meeting unraveled the gloom surrounding my life, drawing me closer to the idea of true independence. Have you thought about leaving him? Alex questioned cautiously one day, concern weaving through his voice. You deserve more than just enduring. Sometimes, I think I do need to escape, I replied, my heart pounding. Lily, too, didn't miss a beat. Emma, this isn't just about love. It's also about your well-being. You must choose what's healthiest for you. It's time to reclaim your life. Leave before it's too late. The battle within me became a cacophony of chaos, a fight between hope and fear. I had grown bold in my ambition, weaving dreams into existence, yet there remained an anchor tied to my heart, a tether that pulled me back. Daniel. My love for him conflicted with the need for liberation. But as the nights wore on, and dawn broke over sleepless mornings, I recognized a truth lying dormant within me. The need for revenge had begun to solidify, like a tender flame waiting for kindling. I envisioned the moment I could uproot this deception and spark a catalyst of change, a return to my independence. Days drifted into weeks, and I reveled in the rekindled connection with Alex while balancing my daily life with the ongoing chaos steeped in obligation and snide remarks from Sandra. Each encounter with him felt like a breath of fresh air, freeing me from a momentary burden, reminding me how easily laughter could lace conversations when mired in negativity. "Are you coming to the gala next weekend?" Alex asked, leaning forward with an infectious smile, his confidence rekindling the embers of my ambition. "I didn't plan to," I replied, glancing down. Gala was a family affair, one I was sure Sandra would manipulate into another display of control. "Come on, Emma. You deserve to dress up and mingle. It's just what you need," he urged. I was thrilled but terrified as insecurities waged war within me. What if she tries to control it? What if Daniel tries to please his mother again? My voice wobbled slightly. "Then don't let them. Show them the powerful woman you are and be unapologetic about it," he encouraged, and his confidence slithered through me like a warm embrace. I hadn't felt empowered in a long time. As the day of the gala approached, my heart raced, anticipating the spotlight of attention, but shadows loomed, the thought of facing Sandra, whose eyes glinted as I ascended the ranks. "What you wear, how you act, it matters more than your success," her voice echoed mockingly in my mind. I stood in front of the mirror, dressed in a shimmering navy blue gown that hugged my curves just right. My hair cascaded in soft waves, and for once, I felt beautiful and ready. Lily entered my room with a radiant smile, confidence radiating like sunshine. "Wow, look at you," she exclaimed, twirling me under her gaze. "Tonight, we seize the moment. You're finally going to show them who you are." "Let's hope I don't crumble in front of them," I replied, anxiety lining my chest. "If you do, I'll be right there with you," she assured, placing her hand on my shoulder. "Tonight is about you, Emma. Remember that." Walking into the gala felt like stepping onto the battlefield, every gaze a dagger wrapped in silk. Daniel stood beside his mother, both seemingly captivated by the ongoing spectacle of networking and upward mobility. I had never felt smaller, but I refused to shrink into the shadows this time. "Look who finally decided to make an appearance," Sandra said, a smirk curling her lips as she glanced me up and down. "That dress is interesting." I tightened my grip on the champagne glass in my hand, the bubbling liquid mirroring my anxiety. "I thought it would be a good change from what I usually wear," I replied, matching her sarcasm with my own. "You want to impress people, darling, not scare them away," she snapped back, oblivious to the ire that bubbled beneath my calm exterior. Daniel shot me an apologetic look, standing uselessly as his mother continued her tirade. "Stop it, Mom," he finally chirped, stepping between us with a defensive stance. "Emma looks great. Let her enjoy tonight." Too little, too late, I thought, my heart racing at the perceived betrayal. I could handle Sandra, but disappointment in Daniel felt like the true assault. As the evening unfolded, I naturally gravitated toward conversations that sparked enthusiasm rather than irritation. I connected with colleagues, friends, and people who saw the woman striving at her feet rather than the wife to the weak-willed man shielded by maternal influence. "Emma, you've been making waves at work." One colleague named Sarah approached me, enthusiasm glistening in her eyes. "Your recent pitch was brilliant, and I heard they're considering a promotion for you." "Thank you. I'm excited but nervous," I confessed, my heart swelling with confidence. "Don't be. You deserve every bit of success coming your way," she pressed. I felt the adrenaline coursing through me as I mingled, breaking away from the suffocating shadows of Sandra's judgments. "Look at you, Emma," Alex said, appearing at my side with an amused smile. "Starting to charm the crowd, I see. Is that a new tactic?" "Just trying to escape," I replied, eyes twinkling with newfound determination. "No holding back tonight." As the night deepened, laughter erupted near the dance floor. Suddenly the lights dimmed, and the host introduced the arrival of the award ceremony, a celebration dedicated to recognizing the company's outstanding performers. When the name was called for Most Innovative Employee, my heart raced in disbelief. "Emma Thompson!" echoed through the auditorium. The applause washed over me like euphoric waves, and as I walked towards the stage, I felt liberated. For a moment, Sandra's gaze turned into daggers of envy, while Daniel looked utterly proud. "Congratulations," the presenter beamed as they handed me the award, my heart racing with validation. "You've earned it." The soft roar of my colleagues flooded the room, boosting my confidence tenfold. I stood on the stage, a beacon of my success, declaring independence from Sandra's clutches. As I looked out into the room, the gaze I sought wasn't Daniel's, it was Alex's. "I want to thank the people who believed in me," I began, my voice strong as I addressed the audience. "This journey has allowed me to reaffirm my ambition, and I hope to inspire others to pursue their passions without hesitation, against the odds." Applause filled the space, drowning out the whispers, particularly from Sandra. Her expression turned stormy, but I reveled in the moment, aware that the tides had shifted. Daniel rushed to embrace me once the spotlight dimmed around us. "You were incredible," he exclaimed, joy spilling over. "I knew you had it in you." "Thanks, Daniel." The warmth of his embrace felt tender, yet I sensed the lack of fire behind his eyes, hesitant to step into my realm. "Let's celebrate," I said, urging the moment. "Can we do it later?" "I want to talk to my mom," he said, quietly shifting to Sandra's side, the familiar shadows resurfacing. Night after night, as my success blossomed, so did the resentment brewing in Sandra's heart. Her commentary began to seep through every interaction. "You shouldn't be doing all these extracurriculars," she admonished one evening during dinner. "What if you neglect your duties at home?" I felt the familiar resentment thrumming beneath my skin. "I can balance both, Sandra. Being ambitious doesn't mean I have to neglect my family." "You should prioritize what truly matters," she snapped, eyes narrowing. "Those awards mean nothing in the grand scheme. You won't be happy without family." Inwardly, I bristled, recognizing the hypocrisy embedded in her words. "Family is important, but so is my career. Why can't you support me?" The frustration bled into my voice. "I won't support you chasing shadows like this. You're throwing away your life," she replied, the audacity ringing hollow. After weeks of tension and passive-aggressive confrontations with Sandra, I turned to Lily, who listened intently. "I can't keep living like this," I admitted, tears prickling at the corners of my eyes. "I want my ambitions, but I feel like I'm constantly stifled." "You need to choose, Emma," she urged. "You want happiness, or do you want to hold on to the fantasies of a marriage built on fragility?" The clarity of Lily's thoughts struck me. I had clung to Daniel, hoping he would change, but nothing transformed as long as I lived under his mother's scrutiny. "Are you ready to be brave?" she asked suddenly, delving deeper into the essence of my turmoil. "Brave enough to leave, brave enough to strike back," I mused. The thought ignited a spark deep within me, a bittersweet feeling of empowerment ignited by hurt. Returning home that evening, I noticed Sandra standing at the kitchen counter, likely mapping out my failures while stirring a pot of something ominous. The tension hung thick around us. She turned her gaze, a smirk teasing at the corners of her lips. "Back for another round of gossip?" I quipped, glaring at her. "Don't get comfortable, Emma. This isn't for you," she replied flatly. "Maybe if you didn't work so much, you'd see. Maybe if you didn't meddle, we could thrive as a family. I'm more than just your son's wife." The words came rushing out before I could filter them, a powder keg igniting. "You are nothing but a distraction," she snapped, her tone icy. The tension simmering and swirling around us became electric. "Maybe that's true, Sandra, but what if I choose to distract myself?" I shot back defiantly, my heart pounding with adrenaline. As the thought settled on my mind, a plan began to form within me. I wanted to orchestrate my exit through a series of events that would awaken the embedded issues. I had grown tired of their manipulations. The reality was I needed to utilize my corporate acumen to weave a tapestry of sweet revenge. I crafted a strategy for the following months to cleanly detach from their control while launching my ambitious career. I would solidify my fulfillment in the workplace, achieving milestones that would attract opportunities beyond their reach. The moment I could stabilize my world's trajectory, I'd pivot and sever myself from their shores. In the weeks following the gala, I burrowed deeper into my work, my ambition fueled by the recognition I'd earned. Every late night at the office, every extra project, and every networking opportunity became a stepping stone toward reclaiming my independence, and veering further away from Sandra's grip became my daily battle. Meanwhile, the interactions with Alex grew more comfortable and laced with unspoken emotions. We began working on joint projects where I contributed insights, and his praise felt like a warm blanket on a winter night. One late evening, while poring over reports, Alex leaned back in his chair, a slack grin on his face. "You're unstoppable, Emma. If you keep this pace, soon they'll be calling you the CEO." I chuckled lightly, but his words hammered home a thought. What if I aimed for that? "Or maybe just the head of marketing," I replied, but the thought floated like a kite tethered to my dreams. "But I'm taking it one step at a time." "Sure, one step, but keep an eye on the prize. You deserve the corner office, not just a desk among the shadows," he encouraged. His conviction ignited something deep within. I was ready to take the plunge. Days seamlessly transitioned into weeks, and soon enough, my dedication bore fruit. The company announced a pivotal leadership retreat over a long weekend. Recognizing my increasing contributions, I was invited to present ideas to the board as they deliberated on exciting growth opportunities. "You've got this. Just take the leap and own it," Alex said during a coffee break as we prepared to submit presentations. His belief in me burned brighter than the flickering lights that danced above in the meeting room. As the day arrived, I donned a crisp blazer and pencil skirt, nervous energy swirling through me. "These ideas are innovative and forward-thinking," I repeated quietly, anchoring my resolve. Walking into the presentation room, I was met with stern faces and expectant gazes. My heart raced, adrenaline surging as I made eye contact with the board members, giving me a sense of purpose stronger than any doubt. I presented with enthusiasm, passion spilling from my lips as I detailed plans for restructuring the marketing approach while pulling the company into a digital renaissance. The discussion became an eager exchange instead of a relentless interrogation. Back at home that evening, I felt proud yet apprehensive. I'd opened a window to endless possibilities, shifting the very foundation of my role in the company, and my desire for independence was growing stronger. But upon entering the living room, the air thickened. Sandra was perched in her usual spot. "Another late night? What are you planning to neglect next?" she asked, fury boiling beneath her calm surface. "Just an important presentation," I said with an air of nonchalance. Daniel entered, eyebrows arching. "I'm proud of her, Mom," he exclaimed, but even I could sense the hesitation in his tone. "Proud? For what, exactly? A job that could fade any day? This is not how we conduct ourselves in a family," she retorted, unfurling her criticisms like a carefully choreographed dance. Ignoring her, I cast my gaze toward Daniel, longing for him to step up. "It's okay, Daniel. I'm where I need to be." "But Mom..." He hesitated, but his words vanished into the air, drowned by Sandra's intimidating presence. "Look, if you can't respect the choices I make, then maybe I shouldn't be here," I asserted, the rebellious tiger awakening inside me. Daniel's gaze flickered. "But you can't just run away from us, Emma." "What if I need to?" A defiance surged within me. As the board meeting drew closer, I rehearsed my talk several times over, pouring my fear into pages of notes. Each word resonated like a more potent incantation, deepening my determination. The outcome was announced. They loved my ideas. Over the moon, I rushed home to share the news, buoyed by the anticipation of progress. However, my enthusiasm quickly deflated upon entering to find Sandra hosted a gathering with family friends. The laughter and chatter faded as I walked in, morphing into a frozen tableau showcasing my every flaw. Emma, congratulations on finally getting noticed in the work sphere," she said, lacing her voice with mockery. "Not that it's all that impressive." "Actually, it is impressive. I've been working really hard and I'm proud of myself," I snapped back, unwilling to back down. "Oh, darling, we all know that hard work merely gets you so far. Being a good wife and mother shores up a solid future, something you might need to consider," she droned, her eyes glinting with challenge. The rage simmered beneath my skin. "Well, with all due respect, I am planning to have a future without being tethered to your expectations. If you can't be supportive, please don't hinder my journey." Her face paled, an expression of shock and rage. I turned away from the gathering, seeking respite in the security of my dreams. Days turned into sleepless nights as I prepared for my newfound negotiation of self and ambition. Each morning felt like a battle against the shadows looming from the past, but I resolutely pushed against the tide. The transformation within me ignited an unyielding desire to shift the scale of power. The world I inhabited trapped me like a siren, but I was awakening, and awakening demanded bold steps. It was then I decided on a bold move. I reached out to Alex during a weekend meeting I hosted at a cafe. "Alex, I want to form a partnership, not just in work, but ahead," I confessed. "I really believe we can do something incredible." His eyes assessed me, a blend of admiration and excitement coursing between us. "You're serious? What if we move for a new partnership, start a venture on our own?" I proposed, heart racing. This could be my escape plan, a way to break free from the walls that confined me. "But what about Daniel?" he asked, concern threading beneath his voice. "I can't let them dictate my life anymore," I confessed, the umbilical connection that tethered me to Sandra, severing more with each passing second. "I'm in. Let's map it out," he said, his grin lighting up. That evening, I returned home with a fire surging through me, excitement bubbling at the prospect of creating my future. However, as I crossed the threshold into the home I sought to escape from, there lay the calm before the storm. Sandra, seething. "Well, Emma, what's your plan? Going to open a bakery next?" she jeered, arms crossed as she leaned against the wall. "Or is it another one of your flights of fancy?" "No, just preparing to leave this position," I said evenly. "Leave this home? You are foolish to even consider it. Your responsibilities are here," she shot back. "Being a wife isn't my only identity. I deserve to thrive in my career too," I shouted, determined to crescendo with my newfound power. She narrowed her eyes, equally angry and appalled. "You think a career will fulfill you? You are only one step away from losing everything you've gained." It was time for the confrontation, the moment I would reveal my plan to Daniel. I invited both him and Sandra to sit down for what I hoped would be an honest heart-to-heart, a climactic confrontation that would determine the course of my life. "Daniel, we need to talk," I started, trying to keep my voice steady as I faced them together. "What's going on?" he asked, eyes flitting between Sandra and me, uncertainty flickering in the air. "I've been given an incredible opportunity, and I'm planning to take a leap into a new venture with Alex," I explained, bathing my words in assertiveness. "Alex? The same guy you're always with during the afternoons?" Sandra interjected, her voice filled with anger. "Yes, Mom, the very same," I snapped, frustration spilling over. "And we're planning to start a new business together." Daniel looked bewildered. "Are you serious? You can't just leave everything behind." I leaned in closer to him, urgency flooding my words. "My happiness builds on my decisions. I can't be suffocated by your mother's whims or your silences any longer." His gaze faltered. "But what about us?" "We haven't been a us in months, Daniel. I am fighting for myself." The silence that followed felt like a chasm widening, heavy with unsaid words. Finally, Sandra stood up, her expression glowing with contempt. "You will regret this, Emma. You think that playing with upheaval will grant you independence, but the truth is, those who walk this path alone only wind up broke and lonely." "Not as lonely as under your rule," I shot back, letting the truth resonate with the weight of conviction. Daniel's silence sowed doubt in my heart. Should I stay, tethered to convenience, or stretch towards the unknown? He finally spoke softly. "You're leaving this family behind." I finally felt a surge of clarity. "No, I'm freeing myself from the constraints you both impose without regard for my dreams." With a blend of anger and humiliation, I watched as their true colors were revealed. Days became a haze of adrenaline. I finalized the details regularly, meeting with Alex, poring over plans while simultaneously creating my escape route from Sandra's control. I began letting go of possessions that had entangled me in the web of their lives, discarding anything that represented constraining definitions of wife or daughter-in-law. As I packed my things, visions of freedom flooded my mind, not just leaving my home, but ascending toward the dreams waiting for me on the horizon. The day came where departure felt imminent. I had told my closest friends, discreetly sharing my plans, while excitement crackled in the air. "I'll be cheering you on," my closest friend had said, tears glimmering in her eyes. "You deserve this." As I took my final steps in my old life, I could hardly suppress the nerves brewing inside me. The scheme was perfect. I'd planned a false car maintenance schedule that would draw my family's attention and leave them blind to my plans as I sailed away. Sandra's disapproval hung thick in the air as she shouted across the living room. "I won't let you leave so easily. You'll regret breaking apart this family," she yelled. "I'm not breaking this family. I'm choosing to build my own," I shot back, my voice unwavering. In that moment, Daniel emerged from the stairs, a glimmer of courage flickering in his eyes. "Emma, please reconsider. We could work things out." I felt a swell of liberation wash through me. "The only thing I will work out is who I became, not who you want me to be. This is my choice, Daniel." "Walk away, Emma," Sandra hissed, but this time her words held no power over me. With a deep breath, I stepped toward my freedom, ready to embrace the world I'd yearned to create, filled with possibility and the resilience to triumph over anything life threw my way. The moment I stepped out of the house, the air felt different, fresher, more alive. Each inhalation stirred the embers of freedom, igniting a fire within me. As I walked toward my car, a mix of exhilaration and apprehension coursed through my veins, filling me with undeniable energy. The past few days had been a whirlwind of liberation, but I knew I was embarking on a journey unlike any other. Even the most difficult parts of leaving felt empowering. The constraints that fettered me to expectations dissolved as I drove away, a bittersweet goodbye. I didn't turn back. Instead, I faced the horizon with an oak-solid resolve, determined to define my story on my own terms. Once I arrived at my new apartment, I stood before its cool facade, minimal, modern, and unfathomably mine. A soft buzz of excitement thrummed through me, the walls inviting me into a fresh chapter. As I stepped inside, I envisioned setting up my sanctuary, decorating with color, filling it with laughter, and breathing life into each unclaimed corner. With a twist of fate, I had secured financing for the new business venture with Alex, inciting endless possibilities. The previous week had been a blur of discussions and planning, temporarily mesmerizing. Each late night spent planning our brand swirled with dreams of creating something meaningful and wonderful. After a fiery brainstorming session where we fine-tuned our vision, we had crystallized our concept. It would harness the potential within innovative digital marketing combined with sustainability, ambitious dreams molded from our shared ambition. Weeks passed in a blur of strategizing, endless coffee, and late-night brainstorming sessions, and soon the day of our soft launch arrived. The surge of adrenaline coursing through me felt euphoric as I arrived at the characteristic artsy cafe we had chosen to unveil our venture. "Ready for this?" Alex asked, a reassuring smile crossing his face. I grinned back, excitement bubbling within me. "Ready as I'll ever be. Let's show them what we can do." The cafe transformed into a stunning display of our brand, a vibrant visual identity enveloping every wall alongside our marketing materials. A mix of excitement and anticipation filled the air, drawing an array of friends, professionals, and potential clients. As introductions flooded the space, I felt buoyed by the support emanating from people I cherished. I moved from one conversation to the next, weaving stories intricately tied to our mission and our values. This wasn't just a launch, it was a celebration of everything I had fought for, a culmination of battles that reinforced my tenacity. Gradually, chatter enveloped me. I glanced around, noting faces of those who had once shied away from my ambitions, replaced by open admiration. It felt surreal. This was the life I had been deprived of for so long. In the throes of celebration, I noticed Sandra entering, her posture rigid, keeping a watchful distance while scanning the gathering as if looking for weaknesses. "Isn't it charming?" Alex whispered, nudging me as he followed my gaze. "A front-row seat to your past." "Yes, the chains just can't seem to let go," I replied lightly, even as anxiety slithered in. "I need to stand firm." Later that evening, as Daniel stepped into the reception, a wave of unease surged through me. He appeared unsure, conflicted, and torn between two worlds. As our eyes met, thick tension pressed upon us, the gravitational pull of unshakable love and familial obligation lingering. "Emma," he approached me cautiously, hidden urgency laced in his breath. "Can we talk?" "Not here. We can talk after," I replied, standing firm. I didn't want to give power to the tension that had stifled me for too long. His face fell, a glimmer of understanding washed over him. "You're not the same person you used to be," he remarked, and my heart echoed the sentiment. I knew it to be true. As the night progressed, the energy of the launch party enveloped me in warmth, almost magically erasing the bitterness that configured around Sandra and Daniel. However, I couldn't ignore their lingering presence, foreboding shadows clutching tightly at my insecurities. "Must be hard for you, seeing your wife soar without you," Alex commented softly, catching my glance at Sandra. I sighed, knowing that mountains climbed during our time would never cease, but the need to let go gained traction with each passing moment. "I can't afford to look back anymore," I replied, reflecting on my journey of self-discovery. "Then release the past," Alex offered, his attention flaring brightly. He clinked our glasses, the sounds of hope wafting through the air. "To your independence." "To independence," I echoed, clinking my glass against his warmly. As the guests began to disperse, I made my way toward Sandra, the desire to confront her burning through me like wildfire. I wanted to reclaim the narrative she had woven over my life, and now felt like the moment for that confrontation. "You have quite the spectacle here," she remarked, silkily elegant yet cold as ice. I stood tall, refusing to shrink beneath her darkness. "You may not approve, but what matters is that I've paved my own path." "Path or pitfall," she hoisted, her lips curling into a sly smirk. "Remember, Emma, failure is a very close neighbor to ambition." "Perhaps, but I won't let your fear dictate my fate." My voice pulsed with conviction. Every word radiated defiance. "You've cast a shadow for too long, and I refuse to be your puppet, Sandra. I will succeed." A tension built around us, a myriad of silent chaos clashing between two worlds. Before Sandra could utter another word, Daniel stepped forward, eyes filled with uncertainty. "Mom, maybe we need to listen to Emma," he began cautiously. "This is what she's worked hard for." A flicker of shock crossed her features, anger igniting but swiftly doused by the influence of her son's presence. "Just remember, Emma," she warned, retaining her authoritative air, but feeling the warmth of doubt. "I won't always be so forgiving." "Neither will I returned with my unwavering stance. The confrontation may not have resolved all wounds, but my declaration pierced the night. Taking back my narrative felt like reclaiming the sun after clouds. Once the event concluded, I saw Daniel standing alone by the entrance. Instinctively, I approached, heart heavy yet light at the prospect of bidding farewell to the life left behind. "Emma," he managed, the tenderness in his voice igniting remnants of the love we shared, threadbare yet visibly present. "I don't want to lose you." "You already have," I replied gently, sorrow threading through my heart. "But that doesn't mean you can't find your own strength. Maybe you'll see that going forward is okay, even if it means letting go." He looked lost in his thoughts, the journey difficult for both of us. I reached out, squeezing his hand slightly. "You'll find your way. Just remember to be true to who you are," I murmured. As I turned to leave, something churned within me, a deep sense of catharsis and anticipation combined. Days turned to weeks following the launch, as I embraced this new beginning. Our venture began to thrive, generating buzz and finding its rightful place within the industry. Alex stood by my side as my business partner and confidant, and together we navigated the challenges that accompanied inflation and expansion. But winds of change swept through our lives, sowing new grounds for growth, forging creative strategies, collaborating with sustainable brands, and shaping conversations around modern marketing in tandem with our eco-conscious ethos. Finally, one evening, as we reclined on the balcony enjoying the dusky sky, Alex turned toward me, a warm smile gracing his lips. "You've truly blossomed into an incredible force, Emma." "Thank you. I couldn't have done it without all our shared dreams," I replied, feeling grateful for the journey. "It's surreal to think how far I've come." "More than you know," he replied. "But the best part? You're finally in the driver's seat now." As I stood watching the sun dip below the horizon, a blend of pastel colors unfurled across the sky, the transition from day to night mirrored my own transformation. A newfound narrative forged from conversations and struggles. I was ready to paint my life with dreams waiting to be realized. Though uncertainty lingered beyond the visible horizon, I stood firm, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead, for this was only the beginning. My story was finally mine, and I vowed never to lose sight of that spark, that radiant dawn shimmering just out of view, eager for discovery. With every step forward, I felt a vibrant life waiting, like echoes of triumph awaiting to be unleashed, the world unfolding at my feet.